You are listening to an MLGA Network podcast.
We're dealing with a lot of anxiety in this world. The stress of everyday life, the circumstances that seem to bog us down day after day. I want to start out today's episode with some good advice I was given on 2 different occasions. I had a coworker of mine who always shocked me with how upbeat she was, even when the worst happened to her. She was even at the concert during the October 1st shooting in Vegas a few years ago, and yet she still showed up the following Monday. When I asked her how she could handle the stresses in life, she said that her mom always told her that she had 30 minutes to dwell on an issue if she really couldn't get past it. Then, after realizing that dwelling actually didn't fix the problem or make it go away, she would just have to stop dwelling on it because the results were the same whether she dwelled on it or not. Another person recently said she likes to try to find 3 positive silver linings in every situation, no matter how hard it is. I've tried doing this recently myself. My doctor found a mass that could be a tumor in my stomach. Well, at least they caught it early, and that they caught it at all. Thankfully, I wasn't getting fat. That was my other thought. A little vain, I guess, but hey, it's a positive. And maybe that means I don't actually have to cut out all the beer I was drinking. That's my favorite silver lining. These may seem like simple or impossible things, but it's up to us to get through our own life struggles and build up stronger. If you need to seek professional help, don't be ashamed to. Everyone is struggling somehow, but it's all survivable if we're willing to try. And sometimes trying means leaning on friends or qualified professionals. Welcome to Lesbertarian, the only place for liberty-loving muff divers and muff diving enthusiasts. Join us this week as we tear apart the political binary and take a look at issues through the lens of non-aggression and reason. I'm your host, Kim Shanny. Throw on your flannel, rent your U-Haul, and let's get this thing started. Welcome in, all my friends. This episode, we talk about the obsession with making gay everything. What is the obsession with gayifying everything? As someone in the LGBT community, there are things that should definitely be created to target the community. Nothing wrong with that. Things like events to meet other people like us. I also see the validity of having gay exclusive dating sites because I have to fight through enough dudes who identify as cisgendered, straight, and male signing up exclusively lesbian sites trying to get in my pants on a site clearly marked for lesbians, as if some lesbian is going to be all, I admire your persistence, sir, even though it looks like you clearly can't read. Gay fiction is also really important. When you're coming of age, it's nice to interact with things that represent you. So I give kudos to LGBT authors. I do think we need LGBT products in the world, and I know you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and here it comes. I don't think that's what today's American society is doing. It's gone way too far beyond products for gays to we're going to make products for gays and make you like it, and if you try to do the same with any other subset of people, we will shame you. No, I'm not saying a straight pride parade was a grand idea to fight against LGBT pride parades. The motive is clearly in the idea of it, to not exactly celebrate being straight, but to counter those of us in the LGBT community. It'd be different to me if the straight pride idea wasn't reactionary. I can see why reactionary ideas and events happen, though, especially if the society is actively trying to tell one group to be ashamed of themselves, and you cannot tell me they aren't trying to make straight, monogamous people look like they're not with the times, like they're just old school traditionalists, as if everyone's supposed to be gay and allies are not important anymore. The supposed point of diversity is to unify all of us, people who are polyamorous to the people who are monogamous. From people who only like the opposite sex to people who don't find that important. These new products smack of, we're here, we're queer, and we want to keep pretending like people need to have it advertised all over the place, as if people won't see a gay person if it were not for plastering it everywhere. I'm not at all saying that our community shouldn't have its products or advertisements, but it's starting to come at the expense of trying to make the LGBT community the new majority by force. I miss the days where people were all for us being equal. Instead, we're at a point where the new some are more equal than others is my community. Instead of fostering the equality we need, we're setting up the field for someone else to gain the power to lift up a new minority to majority status, keeping us further and further away from equality and wholly divided at the same time. The solution to me is not to counter these products with exclusively non-LGBT versions or putting importance on products that already exist, but to realize, my fellow people in the LGBT community, we're being played. Not just by the government who wants to continue to keep us fighting for rights they themselves keep taking and holding over our heads. Companies are literally making money off us and couldn't give a crap about our fight, and yet we think this is some sort of progress. These companies couldn't care less, and I don't blame them. Companies are there to provide a service and get paid for it, or they don't stay in business. They're not required to care about anything else, though we often wish they did. Caring doesn't always make you money. We're over here cheering because companies are rainbowing the hell out of things during Pride Month, but really, they just want your money. Is that what we think equality is? Companies kissing our asses, but they may not even care who we are and what we stand for unless it involves money? Isn't the point to get people to care? As much as we'd like to think having to see LGBT everything everywhere will help, and maybe it'll help a couple people. The cynic in me really does hope so, seriously. But more than any product, knowing that we are people who have the same rights and opportunities, and that we are all capable of living in society together, no matter the sexuality, is priceless. That segues us into our relevant news for today. First up, Battle Creek-based cereal company Spirit Day Kellogg is helping anti-bullying by creating the limited-time cereal altogether. Kellogg is also donating $50,000 to GLAAD in order to support anti-bullying and LGBT advocacy. Alright, hey, I find it awesome that Kellogg donated to GLAAD, and this effort is to support anti-bullying. I'm just not sure how a box of cereal is gonna do it, especially when that cereal is $20 damn. Don't go buy a box of rainbowy boxed junk and think your kids are gonna taste the rainbow and stop dropping bows on gays. Once again, parents, that's your job to tell your children not to go treating people terribly. Treat them to be good humans. And if your kid is being bullied, I don't think eating inclusive cereal is going to fix your kid. The people who most likely will eat this cereal are children of LGBT supporting people anyway. I'm all for supporting causes, and sometimes we buy things like t-shirts and hats to support a charity, but it baffles me how they think slapping gayness on a overly processed garbage is going to change anyone's mind. But they most certainly are going to keep gaying up everything anyway. And let companies that couldn't give two shits about us, but are making bank off thinking this oversugared crap is really going to change hearts and minds. People and their stories are what changes people's minds. And while we can bond over food, I'd prefer waiting for the generic brand. $20 plus tax for this box of future dentist bills? Just slap some rainbows on things and gays just flounce around in victory. I mean, they couldn't even make us our own special flavor? It would taste like wine and dating failures. Just do me the favor and donate the money to GLAAD and stop letting companies pull the wool over your eyes thinking they support anything but the bottom dollar. But hey, it's rainbowy. Woo! Equality. You know, just start a company by gay people that make something better than this instead of thinking these companies have our best interest in mind. That'd be fantastic. At least then I'd know it's about the bottom dollar and the cause. Any company is willing to hop on board Pride Month for money. Not so much your equality, folks, so stop falling for that. Next story, Chick-fil-A is making changes to its charitable giving. The company will, quote, deepen its giving to a smaller number of organizations working exclusively in the areas of education, homelessness, and hunger. They will no longer be donating to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Salvation Army, which both have been accused of being anti-LGBT by LGBT advocates. Chick-fil-A worked with these groups to fund programs like working with underprivileged children and for summer camps. By how LGBT advocates acted, though, you would think they were donating to a concentration camp for gays or some weird crap. I guess score 1 for the LGBT community, no score for the underprivileged children. Look, I can see why people would be upset a company's upper management donates to something they don't like, but I've yet to see that result in me getting 86th from the property for buying a sandwich from the obviously very gay and very nice cashier. I hope the LGBT community is looking for a way to help these underprivileged children instead of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Salvation Army are not suitable alternatives to them. Because after all, it's not just about equality for the LGBT community. We're also responsible for our youth, no matter their gender or religious beliefs. Our next story, Protecting Our Generation hosted a straight pride parade at Dallas City Hall Plaza. It reported to have only attracted 3 people. Similarly, Super Happy Fun America hosted the Boston Straight Pride Parade, where it also reported a low turnout, allegedly only 2 people most of the time. I mean, who's surprised that no one cared to attend a reactionary parade? Being proud of who you are as a human being as a whole, sexuality not being the end-all be-all of being a human, is acceptable. Way to continue allowing the country to keep us divided, folks. Let's stop that crap. Pride to me is a celebration of all of us, and that obviously includes straight people. We do well to remember that, and we don't necessarily need parades to do that, but it would be amazing if we could all celebrate together and stop trying to downplay people for who they are. We're all people, clearly, especially in a country where we pride freedom, and we are getting ever so close to all people being able to be who they are freely. Can't forget that we are able to host pride parades several times a year, every year, and anti-LGBT groups just can't do anything but be laughed at as they try to protest. Our next story, you want to know a country who doesn't have privilege? Hong Kong. According to the South China Morning Post, thousands from Hong Kong's LGBT community showed up at an annual pride rally on Saturday after police banned organizers' application for a march for the first time since the parade was held in 2008 at Edinburgh Place in Central. A smaller crowd turned up for this year's carnival-like event with the theme Equal Justice, Equal Rights. The gathering calls for equal treatment and better protection of sexual minorities, including legislation on sexual orientation-based discrimination. Organizers said more than 6,500 people participated in the rally, but tensions from the ongoing anti-government movement and the anti-mask law contributed to a drop in attendance as those wishing to hide their identities would be deterred. Police put the turnout at 850. Many in colorful outfits showed up on Saturday, carrying rainbow flags as before, but some were also masked and dressed in black, the signature look of anti-government protesters. People. We're talking about a country where protesters were trapped inside Polytechnic University, where they were holding demonstrations because the police threatened to use live rounds on them. While we've had mass shootings in the U.S., Hong Kong is a country struggling through lots of totalitarianism. At this point in America, you're more likely to have the police guard Pride Parade route, not threaten live rounds on the next drag queen they see. If we're fighting for freedom of people, instead of trying to deny the LGBT movement has made progress here in the U.S., let's protest those who are not only in danger for trying to be free, but their own government is willing to shoot them if they don't yield. We have progressed and fought battles and won some of those battles. Doesn't mean we gotta continue to create new battles or make big deals of certain battles that are no longer a big deal. We got to continue moving forward. There are plenty of people, plenty of places that could deal with the support, the eyes. There are not enough people in the LGBT community talking about this craziness going on in Hong Kong. I've seen it on some websites, but do you see that stuff going around on Twitter? No, because a lot of the people in the U.S., we're so first world here, we want to complain about the things that we don't get to do, when in fact we're all up on social media doing that without being thrown in a camp or something like that, or the cops coming in and attacking you. There are some people, like I've said before, still getting attacked for being whatever color they are, whatever gender they are. That's still not supported by everybody on the planet. There was a point in time where it was supported by the majority of people, and the people who didn't support it didn't say crap about it. Right about now, it seems to be the only thing you can read is about how people shouldn't be treated a certain way. But the thing is that there are so many people that don't think we should be treated that way that I think we've made a lot of progress and we can continue going forward. And one of the things that will help us continue going forward is getting visibility on the stuff going on in other countries that are not as privileged as we are. Yes, we're all privileged. Everybody, white, black, Asian, Mexican, all of us, privileged compared to some countries like Hong Kong, who's going through some craziness. So do me a favor. I will try to do so too, because it's important to me. We need to give some visibility to our brothers and sisters in Hong Kong. So share away, do some research, enlighten people, fight for their freedom as well. The U.S. isn't the center of the universe. Let's focus on each other and love each other. If you want to reach out to the show, check us out on Twitter at Lesbertarian or Instagram at Lesbertarian. You can also search out on Facebook, Lesbertarian, or you can even email at lesbertarian@gmail.com. Until next time, guys, love one another.